All right. What I want us to do in this video right now is to forget about Daniel's 70th week for a second, the 7-year period that everybody is always talking about. Because the argument can be made that that has already happened, or the argument can be made that there's half left, or whatnot. So what I want to do is look at this from another point of view, okay? And that is the 6,000 year prophecy view. And what I'm talking about is in Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, God prophesies 120 jubilees. A jubilee is 50 years, 120 times 50 is 6,000 years from the fall of Adam to the end of this 6,000 year prophecy. So the first thing you have to do is figure out when Adam fell. And the way to do that is to look at the second Adam. Jesus Christ is called the second Adam in the Bible. And we know that these patterns repeat themselves. They're tightly connected. Isaiah 46:10 said God declares the end from the beginning. And Ecclesiastes 1:9 and 3:15 say that everything repeats itself. So let's take a look at the second Adam. This is Jesus Christ. And he died at 33 years old. And the number 33 is prolific in the Bible. And another organization uses this number, 33. But in the Bible, it's a third. A third of the angels fell, right? Jesus was 33. And so on. There's 66 books in the Bible, leaving a third of the to 100, right? So it would be around 33, give or take. So Adam fell at 33. This is what I firmly believe, okay? This is why this number is prolific. So if Adam died at 33, there's a 6,000 year period prophecy. So then, it was around 4,000 years when Jesus came. 2,000 years after that. 2032, 2033. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, if we just go off of this, and we look at where all of my dates have been ending up, all of these patterns in the Strong's Concordance and Gematria and the Bible and just by revelation and putting everything together, everything is hitting. Everything. If you watched all my videos, it's all hitting 2025. Smack dab on 2025. There are a couple little dates in late 2024, but mainly the majority of it is hitting 2025. Okay, so many amazing things that I've shown you guys. But look at this. This makes perfect sense. Because if we started at 2025, 26, and we went 7 years from this point, you'd end up at 2032, 2033, the end of the 6,000 year period. Now, I don't believe that that's when Jesus Christ comes back, because I believe it cuts it short. And this is why Jesus was born in 3 BC. So he can cut it short from 2032, 33. Cutting it short to 2029, 2030. Agenda 2030. Okay? But looking at it from this point of view, starting this 7-year period at 2025, 26, instead of 2022, 23. Now, here's what people are doing. Everybody is starting this 7 years at 22, 2023 because of the Shemitah. A Shemitah is these 7-year cycles that have been going on forever that are in the Bible. And everybody figures, well, since it's a 7-year cycle, we'll start this 7 years in the beginning of the Shemitah. But the way I'm looking at it, that makes way more sense. Okay, not starting at 22, 23. And it also reminds me of the new moon and the full moon, how they hit the middle of our months. So just because the Shemitah starts at 22, 23, if we look at new moon, full moon pattern type of thing, hit right in the middle of that, and then start the 7 from the middle of the Shemitah to the middle of the Shemitah. And right in the middle of this, which is the end of the real Shemitah, in the end of the real Shemitah, 2029, 2030, Christ comes back. You see that? So we just scooched it over right here. Right? And that is how I see it now. And it makes so much more sense. See, I wanted to show you guys that because everything that I've been adding up, all of it, as you guys see, if you've been following me in all my videos, all is hitting 2025. And I've shown a couple patterns for 24, but 2025 is just this plethora, this buildup of all these dates, amazing things that I found out about them. And it makes sense if you start the 7 from there, or around there, 25, 26, then the 6,000 year period ends 7 years later, 2032, 33, supposing that Adam died at 33. 6,000 years up is 2032, 2033. See that? And that, to me, makes more sense. So all the arguments about is there 7 years left, is there 3.5 years left, or the preterists say it's already all finished, I am just looking at it more like this now. More like this, right? We're working up to 2025. And we can see this happening. Everything is building. It's all building. It's all getting ready to crumble, right? We're getting ready to see a crash like we've never seen. Chaos, confusion, more deception with this UFO alien deception, with all the deception and false teachings and everything, right? All these agendas that are out there. So it's just a build up to the big things, okay? And the amazing thing is that the Strong's Concordance shows us these 3 years of pretty much disaster on Earth. As I've shown before, the Strong's Concordance is not just something that gives you the Greek and Hebrew definition of words. It is very prophetic when you look up numbers. On the left, you see 2026, 2027, and 2028, and what falls under these numbers, but to kill, slay, a slaughter, and slaughter. So there's a prophetic example of those 3 years after 2025. And on the right-hand side is the years in Hebrew. So 5786, 5787, and 5788. And what do we see there? Well, it says to make blind, and blindness. It's going to be a blind slaughter after 2025, and that's why all these dates and patterns, revelations hit 2025. That is the cutoff point. After that, it's going to be a blind slaughter, 3 years of it, and then in 2029, Christ comes back. But like I said before, that 2025 is got to be the rapture, and it's got to be the anointing for the elect that are going to go through this and preach the kingdom gospel, because that's what all these patterns are showing. If you've watched my videos, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go check them out. But that's the cutoff point. 2025, that's it. And, I'm talking about the rapture, and I'm talking about the anointing for the ones that are here. And then 2029 is what most people call the second coming.
Like if someone got away with murder in this life, someone got away with so many crimes, and he's a rich person, he can pay off the cops and he can pay people off and he's living an amazing life and he dies. Would that be fair versus someone else who lives an honest life and gets oppressed and never gets his right and dies? Would that be fair? Would that be justice? Of course. So there needs to be a continuation. The story continues. There needs to be episode 2. There needs to be the next part. And that's the afterlife, where people who have gotten away with things, and they're allowed to get away with things because it's a test. Like in an exam, you're allowed to circle the wrong answer because it's a test, right? But then later on, the teacher will tell you, this was wrong. And the consequences, you get -1 point or whatever it is, right? And so the afterlife is necessary for this world to make sense. Otherwise, this world doesn't make sense. And the afterlife is necessary to reward those who believe in God and all his prophets and are doing good. And the afterlife is necessary to give consequences to those who reject God, don't want his mercy, don't want to follow his guidance,